Thank you for coming to the Entrepreneur Network. As promised, I got another one of my special superstar friends. We have the amazing Shauna Brown. Shauna Brown, instead of giving you the formal intro, I'm gonna let you do that. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna let people know how I met you. So the way I met you is through a mutual friend, and a mutual friend who's now a teacher. Shout out, I think he just came in there. But just to give you a background on Shauna was a former educator like myself. I'm a current educator. She's a former educator turned assistant principal. So not only was she an educator, she was also an administrator in the school system, which she'll tell you more about. But then she had that itch about maybe 2 years now, and she decided, you know what? While she's running her brand, she wanted to start something different. So anyone in the education field knows how you can get that itch to do other things. You had the summers off. But a lot of times, if you had the entrepreneur spirit in you, it's going to lead you other places. So while she was an administrator, she started a brand called Teach for the Culture. Now, she'll tell you about this amazing brand, a backstory, how it got started. But if you don't know what Teach for the Culture, in all the promo videos, I tagged her in there. Currently, there are 75,000 or 75.1 if you're counting. Who's counting the 0.1? 75,000 followers for Teach for the Culture. This brand is for educators and educators alike, everyone from superintendents, I believe, administrators, teachers, paraprofessionals, security guards, lunch aides. If you're in the school system, if you're part of the building, you know exactly what it is. She just had her sneaker battle,
Sneaker Joy Day. Yeah.
Sneaker Joy Day. I still got to send you my pictures for the Sneaker Joy Day. Sneaker Joy Day. She had thousands of people in education, men and women, wearing sneakers, showing off their shoe game. So without further ado, I'm gonna let Shauna get started. Shauna, thank you for joining the Entrepreneur Network tonight, episode 12, how to protect your business or brand's intellectual property. CEO, co-founder, Shauna Brown, the spotlight is yours.
All right, thank you, Quentin, for inviting me in, and hello, everyone, welcome. I see some folks that look familiar in the audience. Andrew, what's up? That's my brother right there. I see some other folks in here, so thank you all for coming in. As Quentin said, I'm an educator by trade and by profession. And so I've been in the field of education for about 20 years. But the entrepreneurial spirit has always been in me. Since age 12, I started with my paper route, and I started with my first business was at age 12. I started like a babysitting company. I did that until like age 16, like while working other multiple jobs. What up, Andrew? And so, yeah, so the entrepreneurial spirit has always been in me, even within, my teaching and within the classroom. It's something that I take with me in there as well, right? It's all about like problem solving, looking at what the needs are, what you can do, etc. And so, as Quentin mentioned, I am also the founder of Teach for the Culture. I started that actually back in 2018. In 2018, I started just as kind of a side project, a kind of just a space to connect with other educators and share my passion and joy around education. And so that, it started taking off. In 2019, I decided to start, incorporating T-shirts into the brand. And then it's just like grown from there. Over the pandemic, it's just grown exponentially. It's really a great community of folks from around the globe that are passionate about education. Some work in the school system, some do not. There's parents, students, professors, everyone. And so it's been something that I love, and that's why I'm able to do it consistently. So tonight, I want this to be interactive. But I want to share about how to protect your intellectual property through trademarking and, just as a brand. And so I'm going to share my screen. And although I do have slides on here, I'm not just going to depend on the slides alone. Again, I want it to be interactive, and we're going to have a chance for some Q&A at the end. So that's it. So yes, here is me protecting your intellectual property. I am not an IP attorney. Again, I'm educated by trade. I'm just sharing my experience. I've developed several brands over the last several years since 2017. And so I have a lot of experience with it. I'm enthusiastic about it. I have an interest in it, and I've done a lot of reading, research, and just again, experience in this area, but I am not an IP attorney. All right, so this is just, again, a little bit about me. And as I mentioned earlier, and as Quentin mentioned, I am an educator. And once you're a teacher, you never really get that out of you. So we're starting with a pop quiz, okay? So you guys are gonna have to pop into the comments and answer some of these questions. Please go along with it. I want everyone participating. All right, first question. True or false? Only a licensed attorney may submit an application for trademarking. Is that true or false? Do you have to be a licensed attorney in order to submit an application? All right, I see some people putting false in here. That is correct. Oh, an echo. Okay, let me just. Oops, sorry. Is that better with the echo? All right. Next question. If you are not currently using the mark, whatever mark you want to file, do you have to, are you able to still trademark a mark that you are not yet using? Yes or no? True or false? If you are not currently using the mark, do you have to wait to file it? Is that true or false? I see one person said false, false, false. Oh, y'all are good. That's correct. True or false? Trademarks and copyrights are the same thing. They can be used interchangeably. Trademarks and copyrights are the same thing. Ooh, y'all smart. That is correct. Those are two distinct things, and we're gonna get to that and the difference about them in a minute. All right, true or false? If you file or register a business name, an LLC, a domain, or DBA, doing business as, does that provide trademark protection? Is that true or false? Filing your business name provides trademark protection. True or false? Filing or registering a business name provides protection. All right, I see false. That is correct. Y'all are good. All right, the last one, this one is cap or no cap. If I register the trademark with my local Secretary of State, so if you're in Connecticut, you register with the Secretary of State of Connecticut. I see a cap. That's correct. That's correct. Got the blue cap. That's right. If you register with the Secretary of State locally, that does not cover you on a national level. All right. Very good. Very good. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the difference between copyrights, trademarks, patents, and trade secrets. Copyright. It's a collection of individual works that you automatically have once you create an original work that is fixed to a tangible medium. So a tangible medium could be anything from an Instagram post, a piece of paper, a book, a song, an MP3. You are automatically protected for copywriting for any kind of original work or authorship. So as long as you put it on some kind of tangible medium, you're automatically protected under copyright. So that copyright law, you don't have to register in order for you to be protected under copyright. You're automatically corrected. But if you do register with the US Copyright Office, you will have additional benefit. All right, so that's copyrights. Patents. Most of you are familiar with patents. A patent protects inventions. These can include new and useful processes, machines, compositions of matter, improvements. So a patent is anything, it's really for inventors. And again, it's supposed to encourage entrepreneurship and innovation. This is the most expensive IP to file for, and it's the most complicated application and the most complicated thing to kind of, prove and protect. But, again, I mean, I've never filed for a patent, but I think it's a dope thing. Especially for people of color. I think more of us need to be patenting and trademarking our work. And not just, for the patent's sake to say that you hold it, but also for that ownership piece. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. Does anybody here remember, you guys remember like fidget spinners that kids used to have like a few years back?
Couldn't stand them.
Anybody?
Couldn't stand them.
Still. So that was actually invented by a woman, I forget her name. She invented it. She did file for the patent for it. She got the patent, but with any kind of intellectual property, once you have it and you're registered, you still have to follow up and redo or refile or pay the fee to continue holding the patent. She actually let it lapse. And then a few years after that, somebody else came in, swooped down, and got paid. So even though she was the original person that filed for that patent and had it and, developed the idea of that fidget spinner, she lost the patent after a while because she didn't renew it. Like it sat for years. And then somebody else came and took it, swooped, and is still getting paid off of it right now. Trade secrets are another piece of intellectual property that you could protect. So that's anything from, it protects secrets like a secret recipe, anything that has an economic benefit due to its secret nature and has values to others. So we don't hear about trade secrets as much, but again, to me, very interesting, very fascinating. I know a place like, anybody heard of Crumble Cookies? Like it's a famous cookie place. And in order to work there, you have to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement saying that you will not disclose their trade secrets. So anyone, any business, any establishment, any individual, if it's mama and her special pie, she could still file for a trademark under trade secrets. And that just, again, protects it from any kind of unauthorized disclosure, and it protects you if you need to, pursue someone that's infringing upon your trade secret. And then trademarks. This is what we're going to talk most about today. A trademark is a word, phrase, symbol, or design that identifies and distinguishes the source of goods of one party from the others. There's also service marks. A service marks distinguishes the source of service rather than goods. So they're very similar. Most people use trademarks interchangeably with service marks, but trademarks are for goods. Service marks are for services. And you all could, if you have questions along the way, pop in. I can try to answer them as best as possible. But again, I'm not an IP attorney. I'm just, I've had experience with these. All right. Types of trademarks that the USPTO registers. So the USPTO is the United States Patent and Trademark Organization or office. They offer, you can do a word mark for a trademark. So that would be something like if you have a phrase that goes along with your business, you can register that as a word mark. A design mark would be something like a logo or any kind of design, any kind of art that you want to protect. That would be a design mark. There's also sound marks. We don't hear a lot about these, but you can protect a special sound as long as you can prove or show how you use it and how it's distinct and how it's unique. You can trademark a scent or flavor. Again, to me, very interesting. Again, as long as you can prove how it's distinctive and how it's related to a good that you provide, that's, you know, special or unique to you and your business, you can trademark a scent of something, even a candle scent or flavor, and a motion mark. Put a 1 if some of these you've heard for the first time. Put a 2 if you knew that you could trademark all of these things. Put them in the chat, please. I'd love to see. All right, we see some 1s. All right. Which one was most surprising to you? Word mark, design mark, sound mark, scent, or motion? Emotion. So all of these things can be registered as trade. So within the USPTO, again, that's the United States Patent and Trademark Office, it's a federal office. There are 45 different classes or categories that cover all goods and services. All right, so classes 1 through 34 are for goods. So that's basically like a thing, you know, a flower pot, Coca-Cola, like whatever. And then 35 to 45 are for services. So if you had a community, that would be considered a service. If you provide, you know, you file taxes, that's a service. Education, entertainment, podcasts, interviews, all of those things would be through classes 35 to 45. I have filed for both. So I have goods and services. As I mentioned earlier, I have several different apparel lines. And so I have those under goods, and then I also have services under education services. And they've been filed at different times. My first mark I filed back in 2017. And, you know, I'm gonna get into it later, but 2017, when I filed my first trademark, I learned a whole lot. And I'm still learning. Like there's always lessons along the way. Has anybody been to this site before? This is the USPTO actual official site. Put a wave, put a hand, put an emoji if you've been. Okay, yes, good. So on there, everything is on there basically. So they have information, they have free webinars. You can search, like if you're interested in filing a specific name for your brand or a service or a good, you can go on there, you can search to see if it's already in use or if there's something similar. They have some free services on there. That's where you'd also file an application if you need to file an application. Personally, I think, you know, although the information is great, but it's a lot, I like to personally go with an attorney when filing, because if there's anything that you have to answer, like any office actions or things that you have to answer to, the attorney can navigate that. They also have like a deeper level of search in addition to this USPTO site. Like if you go on there and put your brand name in there, some things will come up, most will come up, but attorneys have like another layer that they have access to that they can find that's with anything like similar at all to the mark you want to file. All right, so trademark symbols. You may see people using the R, the TM, or the SM next to their brand name. The only difference between the TM and the SM, TM again is for goods, SM is for services, but most people just use the TM. And then the R, you can only use if you have, if your mark has been approved by the USPTO. So like once you apply for it, you can put the TM on there officially. And then once it's approved by the USPTO, that's when you can start to use the R.
Yeah.
That's why. Because ain't no.
I'm gonna unshare for a second. I don't know how to do this. those are just like, basic overview of the process and a basic overview of what you can or cannot mark. I'm just going to share some of my own personal experiences, things I learned, things I take away, things I would, to share with you for advice. Has anyone on here filed already for any trademark? Just let me know in the comments. Anyone on here filed before? Yes, no? Okay. Not yet, all right. So I would advise, so first of all, I would advise if you are starting a business or if you already have a business, my first piece of advice is don't wait. If you have an idea, don't wait. Even if you haven't started using it officially, you can still file the trademark under intent to use, as long as you plan to start use within the year. So you could file for intent to use, you get it in there, and then you must start using it within the year. And using it doesn't just mean like you're posting it somewhere. Like it's not just on a social media page or like on a website. You have to be providing an actual, it has to be in commerce, basically. So you have to be getting paid for goods or services associated with the mark in order for them to approve it. And so again, but if you have an idea for something is not out there already, go for it. I would say like, sooner rather than later. A lot of people either wait or they figure like, they'll wait a couple years or a couple months. My thing is go for it right away and don't just go through the state, go through the United States office. So for me, before I knew this, with one of my earlier brands, what I did, I bought the domain name, I had the website, I had the Instagram handle, I had the business filed, I was using it, and then I filed the trademark, but I filed the trademark with the Secretary of State for Connecticut. And I was like, oh, nobody else is using this. I'll do the federal one later on. So guess what happened? I started using it. It started becoming more and more popular. Somebody caught on to it and went and filed at the federal level a very similar name. They just added like an ing onto it. And then I, again, I procrastinated in filing mine through the federal office. And when I went to file it, 2 days before, this other company who knew about me in advance filed the trademark with, very similar mark, and it went through, they got it. Just because I waited. So I always say, do not delay. Like you had the idea, do it. Because I'm thinking like, no, nobody's gonna copy that. Like that's me. Everybody knows that. That's my thing. I have the domain. It's an LLC. I got the state trademark. No, they came right in and filed an almost identical mark, and it went through. And the first thing they did after 4 weeks of having it was come to me and say, you need to stop using that. So for me, after 5 years of building my brand, 5 years, so that's, everything from brand recognition, flyer folders, everything, clothing items. And they knew this, but they came in and filed something similar just so that they could say they own it and then want me to stop using it. And then they tried to build off of my brand recognition. So again, I say, don't wait. That for me is one of my, that was a hard lesson. And it's not done. It's still in process, but it's costing more to have to now go through and backtrack and prove who was using it first and all of that, which I was. So second thing, keep receipts. So when you file, and not just like, those kind of things, but like online receipts, social media receipts, all of that. Because when you file your trademark, they're going to want to know what was the first date of use? What is your earliest date of use? And this is going to be essential, right? So if someone has a similar brand to you, a similar name, and they started using it, say January 1st, and you started January 2nd, they have prior use, even if it's a day. So make sure that you're documenting, the funnels to how you're actually using it, all your branding, the dates. If you have like screenshots, you got to get all that stuff together. They call them specimens. Make sure you have that documented. Make sure that, if you have an idea, start using it early. Just like I'm saying, start, trade filing for it early, but the earlier the use, the better. So that's the second. Third, and again, any questions, just be sure to pop in, just let me know. What's the third thing? Do your research. Like I shared earlier, the USPTO website, you can go on there and search, but also just through the interwebs in general, right? So when you go to file and when they start looking at your application, they're going to actually not just look at the USPTO site, but they're also going to look in general. Like they're going to do a general web search to see how else your mark is used, and if it is confusingly similar to any other registered mark or any other organization. Confusingly similar, but within the same class. So anybody remember how many classes I mentioned that they had? How many classes there were in the USPTO? Anybody? Not 5, but you're close, kind of. One of the digits is on. How many different classes are in the USPTO? Not 3. You have another correct digit, but that's not it. There's 45 different classes. Yes, 45. You had the 4 and the 5, Quentin, yes. There's 45 different classes. So when you file, like you can have that, there's two identical marks can coexist within the same USPTO marketplace, as long as they're in different classes and they don't cause any confusion between what those 2 brands offer. For example, Pandora. There's Pandora Music. What's the other Pandora? Anybody know? Pandora Music, what's the other Pandora? Charms, yes. So those are 2 different classes. One is within like music and one is within jewelry. And so you could have both of those are registered trademarks, Pandora, but because they're like very separate, they're very different, they're not in the same class, they can coexist within the marketplace. All right. Any questions so far?
What about services? How protected is that? Because I feel like visually they'll probably be able to make an easier distinction between logos and of course names, but services, like how closely is that protected?
Yeah, so even with the services, it's going to be, the service has to be attached to a name. So they have, there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of businesses that deliver the same exact services. The names have to be very distinct. And so they usually recommend that the most distinctive names are the ones that are, they're not descriptive. For example, if you have a business that you do, say you do coaching and you say it's Bloom's Coaching, that's very descriptive. It says exactly what you do. The stronger marks, the ones that are more likely or less likely to receive challenges, are the ones that are very distinct, like something like Google, right? If you hear the word Google, you don't know that that's a search engine unless you know. So it's not like, G's search engine, it's Google. And everyone hears that, you recognize it. So that's a strong mark. Something else like, let me see. Clorox bleach, right? Is registered, but it's not, you're not gonna know it's not saying, Jay's bleach, it's Clorox. And so again, if someone else pops up with a product named Clorox, that would be, infringement. So yeah, for services, there are tons and tons, thousands of businesses that do similar services, but as long as your name is distinct, you're good. Again, also under, when you file, in addition to just filing the name, you can also file like your logo. And so as long as there's no other logo that is similar to yours and related to the class and service that you're using, it's usually could be a go. You have a strong chance to get approved. That was a great question.
Thank you. That was a great answer.
Anybody else? Let me see what else I missed. So I said, so don't delay. If you have an idea, you have a thought, even if the domain's available, even if it's available on social media, I would say plant that seed right in the USPTO. So years ago, like when I did my first trademark back in 2017, within 3 months, you get an answer. At the beginning of the pandemic, I'd say 2020, it was like 6 to 8 months. By the end of 2020, everybody was home. 2021, people was popping up a business all over. It was then like 9 to 12 months. At this point, when you put in an application, if you put one in May, right now, it's 12 to 18 months. 12 to 18 months, because they have that many. And our government is not the quickest, sorry to say, period, but 12 to 18 months compared to 3 months when I did my first trademark back in 2017. So, and that doesn't include like any office actions or anything like that. So what's an office action is, so you put the application in, the examiner looks at it, he has questions or she has questions. They send back a letter like, okay, well, clarify this for us. Tell us more about this. How exactly are your services different from this other company that has a similar name? And you have to explain, and you have to send something back within 3 months. You can have another office action. So the 12 to 18 months is just the base for them to look at it right now. Once they get it, if they have questions, they can issue an office action, and that delays it 3 more months, 6 more months, et.cetera. So I would say, if you have the idea, start now. Again, you could even, like I said, there's intent to use, so that even if you're not using it yet, as long as you use it within the year, you can still file the application and then go back in and update the application, saying the date of first use.
We had another question that said, what is the general cost for filing?
So if you go straight through the USPTO site and you file on your own, it's about $275. But that's you filing by yourself, which you can. But that's like with nothing else. That's with no legal advice or legal counsel. That's just you going into the site and applying. But like how I talked about office actions a few minutes ago, if you have an office action, that's something that an attorney who knows all the ins and outs, especially, and get an IP attorney who knows all the ins and outs, and they're able to respond to the office action in a way that's gonna best protect you. So yes, it's $275. If you hire an attorney, it can be anywhere from, again, do your research, but it can be anywhere from, I'd say, $800. I've heard people up to like $3,000. So definitely do the research. And depending on their firm, that's it. All right, Quentin, I see you texting me on the side. So thank you, everybody. If you have any other questions, I know Quentin's gonna come on, and any other questions, just hop on and let us know.
All right, so Shauna, I have questions. All right, very first question. So $275 to file. What is it? What do you suggest? Should I go with an attorney? Should I do it myself? What do you think?
I would say, so if it's something that you've like invested a lot in, right? If you've invested in your business and you're serious about moving forward with the business and owning your business, owning the brand, you're not really as much, invested in it. You haven't really built up everything around it. And it's just like, this would be good to have to own. Then, I would say, go ahead and do it yourself. But just make sure, everything, the research is done. There's lots of, like, again, free resources on the USPTO site. There's videos, things you can read. There's like groups. And so all of that, just, make sure you're well informed when whatever move you make. I've used like 3 different attorneys and they've all ranged in price, but they've also ranged in like how they're able to navigate things as well.
Gotcha. What's the best way to find an attorney? Because I'm pretty sure, I know when I was looking and checking, I had to vet a couple because there's a lot of things that pop up and say, hey, because I noticed, I don't know if you noticed, once you file for a trademark, you'll get all kind of crazy emails. One person I reached out to, their office, I kind of did a Google search and it was like some random warehouse in Arizona. So what is your experience with that?
That's the other thing. So I've never I've always the attorneys I've used have always come recommended with someone who's already used them. And so I know that they're kind of like legit, they're good. I look at their record. There's one attorney I use, she's like number 15, it's a Black woman. She's number 15 in the nation out of like 30,000 something IP attorneys. And she has like a big team. She's good. But if you see something pop up online, like the legal Zoom or like, those things they try to get you, yeah, nah.
Yeah, it's like filing, when you file a domain name, you get all that extra mail that comes to anyone that has LLC. You know what I'm talking about, that extra mail that you get all of a sudden to your business address.
Right.
Next question for you. So I know you mentioned before you had challenges with someone else kind of trademark or infringing on your trademark. How did you find out? How did you find out? Did they just send you a letter? How did that work?
So they actually, after copying mine, like they had known I was in existence. I know that because I, had other evidence that they knew of my brand. And then they got their trademark. They filed and they got it because I hadn't filed on a federal level. The next month, they sent a letter asking me to cease and desist use of the brand that I had been building for 5 years.
Mm. So now, would it have helped you if you already had the attorney in place, or should you wait for something like that, or is that something the attorney takes care of for you?
I mean, the only thing that would have helped me, because I already had, I work with attorneys, but the thing that would have helped me was to not delay on filing it at the national federal level. I hadn't filed. I have the trademark on the state level, but that doesn't count.
Federal
that
level.
doesn't count. So the only thing that could have helped is having the trademark, having filed it before they did. But the thing that helps me with the case is that I had prior use, but then you have to go through and actually fight it in order to maintain the ownership or to gain the ownership.
Now, I know what your social media following, was that one of the pieces of evidence, I think you said, but did that help out?
No. So you could have a brand that has 2 followers, right? And they file it first, even if you're using it first. You could have 2 million followers and a brand has 2 followers, and they could still say that they are the owners and you need to stop using that brand. So the numbers don't like that, all that stuff.
It doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't matter.
So I mean, you could fight it and say, you have notoriety, you have people knowing your brand, people don't know theirs. But again, you have to fight it, and that's very costly. Right? It's not just like a back and forth with letters. It's a legal proceeding, could take years in order to get back.
So is that something did you have to go to court for that, or did you just let the lawyers fight that out?
Yeah, so the lawyers would have to, it has to, go to court. They have to file appeals, oppositions, like it's all this stuff. So that's why I always say, like, file ASAP. Don't wait.
You said that a couple of times. So everybody,
and I'm like,
make sure if
my
you have your
strongest,
business,
if you take anything away today, that's it. Don't wait.
Don't wait to file it. Now, you said it usually probably takes about 18 months. Is there something you could do in between time? Can you check in with that? Is there updates online? How does that work?
Yeah. So once you file the application, they'll issue you a number, and you can always go on the USPTO site, put in the number, and you can see, you just basically it's showing it's there. If they've done anything with it, it'll say like, okay, this application is now in this stage. So what happens, say after 12 to 18 months, you know, the examiner looks at it and then they publish it, what they publish it for opposition. And so they publish it in a gazette, they publish it and say, okay, this person has filed this mark. Anybody at this point, if you believe that you are the rightful owner or you have more rights to it, at this time, you can put in the opposition. And then they won't approve the mark until you go through that process. If you know, after 12 months goes in, they publish it and they say, if anybody believes that, you know, they have prior use, etc., and no one says anything, then like between 30 to 40, 60 days later, then they approve the mark. And then you have the ownership of the trademark.
Gotcha.
And again, that ownership is key. You own the business, you want to own the name. Because just having the LLC doesn't mean you own the name at all.
Very important. So question, do you, so with the LLC, you have the annual filing fee. Once you pay for the trademark, is that forever? Or do you have to, every couple of years, you have to pay something else? Because like you said, if it's $275 to $3,000, that's a big range. So do I gotta pay $1,000 again, or?
So once you you do have to pay, but I believe it's like 5 years, and it's not as, you don't have to pay like the full attorney fee and all that stuff over again. It's just like a kind of updated fee. So like you pay to keep it, and you have to like do stuff on the application to keep it. Otherwise, like if you look on the site, if you go in there right now and look under some marks, it'll say dead and some will say live.
Gotcha.
If it's dead, that means a person had it at one time and they never renewed it, they never paid, and so now it's dead. So now it's kind of open.
Gotcha. So
but then they can, you know, but even with that, they can go back and, you know.
Oh, so you got a question? Someone has I got you. Let me hold. I got you. Relax. It says, I wanted to trademark my podcast. Do I need to create a business name on it, or can it come under my current business for a podcast?
So this is the thing, and this is the beautiful thing about this. You don't even have to have an LLC to file the trademark. Oh. A lot of attorneys actually recommend file it even before your LLC, because you could get the LLC with the name and then still, again, not own the name. Somebody else would come in and say, nope, I'm using this. You can't even use it as a business name anymore. So the trademark first, like that's just number one. So yes, podcast, and that would be under service. So it would be a service mark. I believe it's class 35, and it goes under like education, entertainment, all that stuff.
Yes, Overcomers podcast coming soon. Or the new episode. See, listen, I'm gonna plug everybody that's in.
I love it.
I'm gonna plug everybody that's in.
Do it.
Right, Bridget, Overcomers podcast. Just type it in the chat. That's yes. I'm pretty sure that's the name of it.
Actually, the name we rebranded, so it's Authentically Healing Podcast.
Oh, breaking news right there.
I love it.
I'll put it in.
Put it in the chat.
I love it. Yes.
Breaking news. Anyone else with questions? We have a variety of business owners in here. Just taking a look at the people that are in the chat.
Sorry, that was Bridget. News, Bridget. That's you with the Bridget Brown.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm a family, Bridget.
Who's this?
No, I'm just kidding. My last name is Brown, so I'm saying we family.
Oh, is it?
Gotcha. So
I have a question.
Right. Love that.
Well, I've got a question.
I have a question. Since you filed the state trademark and the person used the federal, would it make sense to just jump straight to the federal?
Absolutely. I would say even skip over the state. I wouldn't even do the state. Right. Like if I know now, I mean, if I'm having the state would help with my case, but if I know now, if I knew then what I know now, I would have gone straight to federal, because the state one only protects you within your state. And nowadays with social media and everything else, like nothing is really just in your state, barely. Especially if it's a brand like a service mark or goods that you're shipping out online, things like that. So
it's another great question.
Yeah, I would say again, yeah, go to Fed.
Listen,
go to the Fed.
I'm gonna plug more people. That's Tammy from Tammy Style My Tree, decorating. Yeah, with this one we got a lot. We got another. We got Caleb in the chat. He says, "How do you file a trademark for a business that's addiction based?" So I know he's starting his addiction based clinical services. Soon to be his office and brand and everything like that. So how would you go about doing that?
It's awesome. So I would, if you have a name, I don't know if you have a name yet. but see what category it falls under. That sounds like it definitely falls under one of the services. So those are classes 35 to 45. And you can go on the site and look. It sounds like it's probably under education, most likely. And that's one of the popular ones. But you would go on, see which, the site can show you like what falls under each class. Addiction services, again, it sounds like a service. It sounds like it's probably under education. I'd have to hear more about it. But yeah, go on there, see which one it most aligns with, and then go ahead and file, put the name in. I would also probably search the name too and see if there's any other business using the same name under the same class. So like, yeah. You want to share your name? Do you mind sharing the addiction services name?
Yep, it's choosing your freedom. And he said, thank you.
Love it.
Listen, we got
Love it, love
a
it,
lot
love
of
it.
great entrepreneurs in here tonight.
Yes,
A lot.
I love it.
I'm telling you. Listen, shameless plug. If you haven't joined the Nothing But Web Entrepreneur Network, we continue to bring these every single week. Another question for you. Where can they buy your merchandise?
So that's at so the site that my friend here, Quentin, built, which is very dope, it's teachfortheculture.com. So it's one word, teach for the culture. And then you can click on apparel, and I have all the merch there, and I'm on social media, Instagram at Teach for the Culture. And yeah, that's it. Yes. So even with the merch, so I have like different designs. Each of those could be a different brand. Like they're not, say you have like 5 different t-shirt designs. They each can be considered their own brand.
Wait, so you have to trademark each one of them?
You can.
Really? Oh,
Yes.
I thought it all fell under one umbrella.
Mm-mm.
So
No.
if you have a different name and design or different slogan, if you want to use that, now would that be everything technical? So it's the font and the way it's arranged, or how would
So
that?
you can do it that way, or you can do a standard word. So if you do a standard word trademark, that means whatever the word, if there are words, whatever those words are, whatever the slogan is, you could consider that a standard word trademark.
Okay.
But it can't be just on shirts. It would have to be like shirts, shorts, socks, hats, and that's a brand in itself.
Gotcha. And then that gets technical too, because if you do like hats, isn't it like winter hat with a bill, different things?
Yeah,
like
you can
yeah,
put it all in. Yeah, throw everything in there.
Yes. Wow.
So yeah, so you don't have to. I mean, it's harder to also like claim infringement with shirts because sometimes they like pop up in different places, etc. But if it's something that you've been building for a while, or you really want to keep and take serious, I would say trademark on apparel or whatever it is. If it's a design, you can also trademark the design itself.
Okay.
All right, just the words.
I have one more question, unless anybody else, just jump into that one. So let's say, hopefully this never happens. Someone decides, all right, well, I want to be Teach for the Culture too. So how would you go about I guess, would you send them a letter? How does that process work? So I'm pretty sure.
So you'd have to, and again, this is why it's great to like work with an attorney, because like I couldn't just send them cease and desist. I mean, I could, but it doesn't really hold weight. An attorney knows the language, the recourses, like they'll do all the research in terms of like reaching out to the person. And so you don't have to, to actually do anything yourself.
Yeah, because
I would say let the attorneys, deal with that.
Yeah, because if you have a great
I think Jay-Z says control everything, own nothing, right? Like you could be in the background.
Listen, we can't go without a Jay-Z quote tonight. You know that. So yeah, so just asking, because I'm pretty sure that if I came or you came, anybody else in here came up with a great slogan, because it can match with different things. You want to make sure that that is your slogan, or if somebody likes it, they just doesn't go run with it and take off with it, and then now claim it's yours. So I guess that goes back.
And again, if you have a word that's like descriptive, like a mark that's descriptive like that, like Teach for the Culture, they know it's something about teaching, it's about culture. That is not the strongest mark to trademark because it's more descriptive. Like the stronger marks would be something that is just like, Polar ice cream. Not even like, but something like I said before, like Google, something like that's just very kind of random.
Yes. Just
a word or phrase that's random. It's not some word commonly seen. Those are like the stronger ones, but there's definitely like descriptive ones all through the site and everywhere. So.
All right. Anyone else with any other questions? You put them in the chat. You can chime in. This is an interactive conversation.
Yes,
Don't let
please.
me just be in there talking.
Anybody else want to share something they're considering, or any question, anything at all? And you can watch the replay too if you didn't see the beginning.
Yeah, because I know you started talking about the 45, the 75, and some people that came in late, they're probably like, what are you talking about? So the
Yeah.
playback will be up tomorrow on the Entrepreneur Network. I will be putting that up for you. For those that came in late or came in early and left. People came in and left, or they came in late.
Right.
So with that being said, Shauna, tell us, or tell everybody, tell the world, because it's Entrepreneur Network. How can they find you? Where can they get more information about you?
All right, so I am, my website again is www.teachfortheculture.com. You can find me on email is teachfortheculture@gmail.com. And I am on Instagram. It's at teachfortheculture as one word. You can DM me, any of that stuff. Also have a couple other brands. I have Melanin and STEM was the first one I started back in 2017. So you can find me on there. That's like a STEM program for youth. I also have Culture University. So it's culture.university. That's also on Instagram. You can find me there if you want to sign, you have young people that are looking for additional learning opportunities. That's that. So yeah.
All right. And there's also one other place to find you. I'm gonna share my screen. So if you also looking for Shauna and you're a member or you're not a member in the Entrepreneur Network, all you have to do www.nothingButWebLLC.com. If you come over to the network section, click network members. And if you scroll down, Shauna, I know you didn't do your profile yet. I'm going down. So right here. So she is Shauna B 443. So she will be putting her backdrop, as you can see, her picture in here. If you have any questions, definitely you want to make sure you follow. So if you click the follow button, that'll follow anything related to trademarks, business related. Keep up to date with her. If you want to send her a message, you can DM her right through here. You can send her a chat message here. Or if you want to collaborate with her, just reach out to her in the different parts, in the different rooms that we have here. You can kind of collaborate and get things done.
Yes, yes.
She is, and again, not only is she a speaker presenter for episode 12, she was also one of the first people to join too. I sent her that link and boom, she joined, no questions asked, which a lot of people do. So if you take a look, we continue to build out the network as we go through different entrepreneurs, different spaces. And each and every week on Wednesdays, I'm gonna continue to bring you more. For those that came in late, if you click on the video content library, this is where you'll find the different speakers. So you're going into the Hall of Fame right here. And then if you go through here, you click different videos, you can see the playback. So again, if you missed it, came in late, those that came and left for different things, any reason, go back and watch these previous videos that we have here as well. Stop sharing my screen.
Awesome.
Oh,
Thank you for having me again. And anyone, if there's one thing that you learned new, again, here comes the teacher in me. One thing that you learned, please drop it in the chat so I can just see. Please, if there's anything that you learned at all or that you're taking away, I would love to hear.
yes, please put those in the chat. And again, Shauna is once you're educated, you're always an educator. She went from classroom educator, classroom teacher to administrator. And then again, like we all had that passion. There's something else we want to do. And she took the leap. I remember talking to her and she was just like, yeah, I'm leaving. What do you mean you're leaving, Shauna? I left my keys for the summer. I'm never going back. And then here she is now. So she's continued to start more different things. So keep your eyes out, because Shauna continues to do more. Get the merch. Shauna, again, I'm gonna send you my pictures. I've been saving them. I couldn't figure out which shoes for the educator battle. I had to wait for everybody to put their shoes out there first, and then I'm gonna drop mine. See, because so post mine. I got something for you.
All right.
I wanted to make sure nobody had what I was gonna post out there. And again, her community reaches 75,000 people on Instagram. I'm not sure about your TikTok numbers, everything, but I do see, I got a couple educators in my building that got your shirts too.
Oh,
They got your shirts. They saw
Oh,
they
that's dope.
saw it, they reached out, they actually got some shirts and they put some on the way.
That's
So
dope.
without any further ado, unless anyone have any other questions, once again, this is the Nothing But Web Entrepreneur Network. Thank you for coming. Again, Shauna, appreciate you.
Perfect.